Welcome to today's semifinal first game of the series between the Bonn Capitals, the home team, versus their arch rivals, the Heidenheim Heideköpfe. And under extremely good weather conditions, will be playing ball, no rain in sight, blue skies, maybe one cloud that I can see. The players are ready, the teams are ready, the fans are ready, good sized crowd. Certainly on the Bonn side, but the Heidenheim Heideköpfe also have loyal fans who travel to all their games, and so they're a raucous bunch. For the sixth season in a row, the two teams face off against each other, but for the first time,
it's new.
There's a new.
Yeah, we have new circumstances. It's not the finals, it's the semifinals.
No.
So let's see what that means for everybody.
And in this semifinal, the second semifinal is not yet set because the series of 5 between
Paderborn and Haar.
Paderborn and Haar is not yet complete. That'll be finished today to find out who the opponent of the Regensburg team, the South champions, will be starting next weekend. But there'll be 2 games this weekend here in the former capital of the Federal Republic of Germany in Bonn. And the Heidenheim team is being introduced. They're lining up on the third base line in their road blue jerseys. Wearing the whites this afternoon will be the Bonn Capitals in all whites. As it should be. I'm sure my friend Brent Kerrigan would say they should always be wearing whites at home, none of this colored jersey stuff. And to be honest, Heidenheim should have at least gray pants on. They don't wear white pants on the road.
But this is what they do, white pants and either dark red or purple or blue. So
yeah.
I would assume that Bonn wears green tomorrow, so let's see. Yeah, so before we start into the game and with the lineups, etc., we would like to show you an interview that we had just before the semifinals here with Bonn's head coach Max Schmitz, and just listen to what he expects from this series.
Ja, Halbfinale steht an. Es ist Heidenheim, das sind ja ganz neue Vorzeichen, oder was denkst du?
Ja, ich glaube, es ist das erste Mal seit 6 Jahren, dass wir gegen Heidenheim im Halbfinale spielen. Wir freuen uns riesig, dass der Spielmodus das erlaubt. Wir sind bereit für die Herausforderung und ich glaube, wir sind extremst motiviert.
Gibt es besondere Herausforderungen mit Heidenheim?
Na, ich glaube, die einzige Herausforderung, die wir haben, ist eine mentale. Die mentale Hürde, die letzten Finalserien irgendwie zu überwinden und dieses Mal irgendwie was anderes zu machen.
Glaubst du, dass so Spiele wie gegen Mainz, die beiden, die ja wirklich sehr beeindruckend waren, helfen zu sehen, wir können's?
Ich glaube, grundsätzlich haben wir eine extrem hervorragende Viertelfinalserie gespielt. Wir sind absolut verdient ins Halbfinale eingezogen und es gilt jetzt genau an die Leistungen anzuknüpfen und auch den Schwung, den wir da erfahren haben, mitzunehmen in die Halbfinalserie.
Auf wen muss man bei Heidenheim besonders achten? Also zum Beispiel Mike Bolsenbrück, da habt ihr ja immer ein bisschen Probleme.
Ja, auch Mike Bolsenbrück haben wir letztes Jahr in Spiel 3 der Finalserie geschlagen. Die haben wieder einen guten Import-Pitcher mit Jared Mortensen. Die alten Verdächtigen wie Larry und Owens sind in den Reihen der Offensive. Aber man kennt sich und deshalb haben wir auf jeden Fall keine Angst und werden mit viel Selbstbewusstsein gegen die Heidenheimer auftreten.
Wie immer wird es wahrscheinlich keine besonderen Vorkehrungen oder Trainingsinhalte jetzt geben.
Nein, wir konzentrieren uns, auf unsere Stärken. Wir sehen zu, dass wir auf jeden Fall wie immer jede Woche besser werden und an unseren Schwächen arbeiten. Und wie gesagt, die Truppe ist hoch motiviert. Gestern das Training war das Beste des Jahres und ich freue mich riesig aufs Wochenende.
Was gibst du den Jungs mit auf den Weg zu den beiden Spielen am Wochenende?
Be yourself, play hard and let's win too.
Alles
Wie
klar.
immer.
Vielen Dank.
Jo.
Ciao.
We had the national anthems, and before that you heard the interview with Max Schmitz, and what he told you is his team is extremely motivated because, I mean, they know almost all of them played against Heidenheim over the last 5 years, and of course we're not satisfied with like having just one win for the German championships and 4 losses. And so they are extremely motivated, and the series against Mainz was very impressive. So if they will be able to play as they did the quarterfinals, they should have a good chance.
Yeah, although Bonn needed 4 games, having surrendered the very first game of the series against Mainz, to win that quarterfinal series, Heidenheim had fewer troubles. They won 3-0, but they needed to put a lot of effort in the final game after blowing a big lead and letting Hamburg back into it to equalize 10-10 before going on to win that game 3 in Hamburg. The lineups...
Actually, that was game 1. But
was that game 1? Sorry.
Yeah. But anyway, so you're right. I mean, they had some troubles because Hamburg always came back. And so... yeah, so, the thing is, and this is what Max Schmitz and the team knows, of course, Heidenheim was not as strong as all the other years this season so far, but never underestimated Heidenheim in the playoffs, so never do that, because they always come back, especially when it goes towards the final decisions, so.
Yeah, obviously, Heidenheim have shown in the past, winning 4 of the last 5 championships, that they have the mettle, they have what it takes to win big games, close games, and although at the moment you won't see them on the mound, they'll be going back to their veteran Mike Bolzenbroek to start game 1. But starting today on the mound for the Bonn Capitals is Maurice Wilhelm, starting pitcher today, and looking around the horn. Let's start behind the plate. Will be Vinnie Arlens. Playing first base, Dan Lamhunt. Second baseman today, Eddie Stommel. Shortstop, Eric Plank. And Vinny Sanchez playing the hot box, the hot corner at third base. In left field will be Justus Recki. The center fielder is Danny Longhorst. And in right field, Wilson Lee. The DH for the Capitals today will be John Schultz. Looking at the Heideköpfe lineup, leading off will be shortstop, number 9, Philip Schultz. Following him in the 2 slot is the second baseman, Drew Janssen. Center fielder and number 3 hitter, Gary Owens. In the cleanup slot is the DH, Mitch Franke. Number 5, and right fielder Sean Larry. Daniel Vavrusa is the 6th hitter, and he is playing first base today, sorry. Catcher Yannick Walter in the 7 position. Number 8, Luca Hörger. He's playing left field, and the third baseman, Simon Liedke, is the last hitter in the current Heideköpfe lineup. And stepping into the batter's box already is left-handed hitter Philip Schultz. First pitch comes to him, and he takes strike 1. Next pitch is outside, ball 1. And Schultz in the 3-game series against Hamburg, batting .444. Fouls that one back. Careful there on the ball, lands safely, meaning nobody was hurt or hit.
I think having Maurice Wilhelm on the mound, I mean, that was a good experience from last weekend, when he started game 3 against Mainz. And I think it helps to have such an experienced pitcher on the mound in games like this. It helps the team, and he's definitely a playoff horse. So. Yeah.
The count is now 2-2 to Schultz as he fouls one back. Yeah, Maurice Wilhelm, total of 8 innings pitched, 8 1/3 innings pitched, with 7 strikeouts in the series against Mainz. only giving up one earned run. And also fouled. The count will remain 2-2 to the Heideköpfe shortstop. Wind is blowing from right field over to left field today, so there's a ground ball to Stommel at second. Fields it cleanly. It throws to Dan Lamb Hunt for the first out of the game.
Next.
And that'll bring up the second baseman of the Heideköpfe, Drew Janssen. Yeah, Janssen in the 3-game series against Hamburg batted .214. In the regular season, .364. Steps in the right side of the plate. Maurice Wilhelm delivers the pitch and he squares the bunt. Strike one to Janssen.
Yeah, just telling you about the statistics that we show on the screen are the playoff statistics, but John has also the regular season statistic because they say a little bit more about a player. So
yeah, 3-game series doesn't say a lot. There's a shot into the right center field gap, and that is going to go over the fence. And first hit of the game is a home run as the wind picked up and started blowing out all of a sudden. And Janssen drives that one over the right center field fence to give the Heideköpfe an early lead, 1-0. Oh. Not the start that the Capitals wanted, or pitcher
definitely
Morris
not,
Wilhelm.
no. But actually this hit didn't look that strong, you know. It looked like the outfielder could catch it, but
yeah. That just kept on going. It picked up a little bit of that wind, and now the wind flags are really going pretty much out to straight center field or to that right center field alley, and might have got a little help there. Gary Owens, the center fielder, grounds one past shortstop Eric Blank into left field for a single. As Maurice Wilhelm is being greeted unkindly by the Heideköpfe bats so far. 2 hits so far, a home run and a single. And stepping into the left-handed batter's box is Mitch Flanke, the DH, and Mitch Flanke batting .300 in the playoffs so far. And took a little bit off that pitch, and Flanke swung and missed. Gary Owens leads at first base, and a good lead. Gets the signal. And there's a grounder right back to Wilhelm. He throws to second. On to first. Easy double play. Good piece of fielding there by Maurice Wilhelm to get himself out of a small jam in the first inning. But 1 run crossed the plate, and the score is, after 1/2 inning of play, 1-0 for the guests from Heidenheim. And we head to the bottom half of the first inning with the Heidenheim pitcher warming up, Mike Besenbroek. He's a familiar face too. The Capitals haven't had a lot of success against him until last season in Game 3 of the finals, where the Capitals finally broke through against the Dutch righty. He started 1 game in the playoffs, threw a complete game, only surrendering 1 run in the victory. And looking at the umpires, behind home plate is Andreas Danielczyk, Dirk Biel and Christopher Feuerecker at first and third base. But most important is that man behind the plate calling the balls and strikes, Mr. Danielczyk. And stepping into the batter's box for the Capitals to start off this game, or start off the bottom half of the first inning, is Eric Blank. Eric Blank batting a measly .500 so far in these playoffs with 10 hits in 20 at-bats. The Bonn shortstop would like to keep that hot streak going, but he takes strike one on the first pitch. Next pitch from the Dutch swinger, the Dutch pitcher, and that's foul ball. Strike two. Oh, they're blank in the hole. Against Bolzenbroek. 0-2 count. Bolzenbroek gets the sign. Pitch comes. That one's high. Ball one. One and two pitch to the Capital shortstop. That one's low for ball two. As Eric Blake battles back into this at-bat. Well, the winds are shifting quite a bit at the moment. Now it's back to this right field, and there's a grounder to the third baseman. He can't field it cleanly. Oh, and a bang play.
No, I wasn't sure. That's not for sure that he was. I thought he was safe. So that was a close game.
Very, very close play there. Well, unlike Major League Baseball, there are no reviews here in the German Bundesliga. As Simon Nietke had to bat that one down. It took a wicked bounce to force him to turn his glove. And stepping into the batter's box is the second hitter of the Capitals, Wilson Lee. Right fielder takes strike one. So Mike Bolzenbroek getting ahead on the hitters. Next pitch on its way. And check swing, ball one. If you came a little late and joined us a little late, the Heidenheim Heideköpfe have jumped to a 1-0 lead on a home run off the bat of Drew Janssen in the top half of the first inning. And now the count is 2-1 to Wilson Lee. Right fielder in these playoffs, not so hot as Eric Blank, a 188, but he's drawn 5 walks as teams are pitching around him, not giving him the best pitches, and he's shown patience by drawing walks. And he's got ahead on the count against Bolzenbroek. 3-1. There's one out. It's the top half of the first inning. And he drives one into the right center alley.
Yes.
That's out of the park easily. No doubt
Almost
about that.
same spot, so.
Almost a repeat of the home run from the second hitter in the top half of the first inning. The second hitter in the bottom half of the first inning. Wilson Lee drives one into the right center field alley, over the fence easily to draw the game even, 1-1. The right fielder Sean Larry took a few steps and gave up on that one fairly quickly. And stepping up to the plate will be the third baseman, Danny Sanchez. Oh, that raises the spirits in the stands and in the Bonn dugout. As Danny Sanchez batting .474 in these playoffs, 9 for 19. Fouls that one straight back. The count is even at 1-1. Four RBIs in the playoffs so far for Sanchez, with one extra base hit, a double. The third baseman fouls that pitch back, and Bolzenbroek gets ahead on the count, 1-2. Yeah, one out, and the score is 1-1 already here in the first inning.
Yeah, what a start here to the game with 2 home runs each.
Yeah.
So,
and practically in the same spot in the right center alley. And strike 3. Change up there to Danny Sanchez. Second out of the inning, and it'll bring up John Schultz. John Schultz batting an impressive .429 in the series. One of those few rare...
John Schultz is the next batter.
Yeah, John Schultz is the next batter, and one of those rare lefties, left-handed hitters on the Capitals. First pitch called strike 1. Oh, and 1 pitch, and he slaps one past the shortstop and the third baseman. So John Schultz gets on with a single. Clever piece of hitting.
I mean, this is what he does. You know, he always comes on base. I mean, not always, but very often. Because of his knee injury, he's not that fast, so he normally hits singles. You know, but he's a very solid hitter. So.
Yep. Well, and here's the one-man wrecking crew from the last weekend against Mainz. Named the Player of the Week in the German Bundesliga. That's Dan Lamb-Hunt. With 3 home runs in the series against Mainz. And he hits a line drive to left field. And so, 2 singles in a row. With a small 2-out rally now. Dan Lamb-Hunt's hot hitting continues. Although unimpressive was the fact that he only hit a single. Well, 2 runners on base and 2 outs. Vinny Arlins, the catcher, steps up to the plate. He's batting .313 so far in the series with 3 RBIs and a chance to get at least 1 here if it's a good hit and the knee of John Schultz carries him home.
Yeah, a hit to the fence would do it.
Yeah. Pitch from Bolzenbuch. High and outside. Ball 1. Another left-handed hitter.
Yeah, Vinny is a switch hitter, so against right-handed pitchers he's from the left side, and against lefties he hits from the other side.
And that curveball is in for strike 1. Oh, the count is even now at 1-1 with 2 outs. Runners on first and second. 1 run already across the plate on the home run by Wilson Lee after Heidenheim drew first blood in the top half of the first inning. Next pitch. Pulled the string on that one. And Vinny Arlins swings for strike 2. One and 2 count to Arlins. That fastball gets him swinging. Strike 3. But the Capitals even the score 1-1. And after 1 full inning of play, that's exactly the score. 1-1. 333 with only 9 at-bats against Hamburg last in the quarterfinal series. And Maurice Wilhelm delivers strike 1. Next pitch comes. That one's inside. Ball 1 to the right fielder. "31-year-old Sean Larry takes that one on the inside corner of the plate, and Sean Larry wonders about that, but count goes to 1-2 nevertheless. First hitter in this inning, And there's a grounder foul down the first base line. Oh, 1-2 pitch from Maurice Wilhelm. And there's a line drive right at Danny Lankhorst, who takes about 5 steps to his left to record the first out of the inning. And that will bring up the first baseman, number 18, Daniel Wawrusa, and his first at-bat in the playoffs this season. In the regular season, Daniel Wawrusa batted .077. Might be a reason why manager Klaus Eckler didn't play him last week. Give him some time to warm up for the big series against the Capitals. And count is 1-1 to the first baseman. Next pitch. Hot shot to Danny Sanchez. Gobbles that one up like a vacuum cleaner. Throw out to first base. Second out of the inning.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Sanchez is really very, very solid on third base. Yeah. You know, he hardly leaves any ball through. You know, it's and it looks so easy. You know, when he's doing it. So even hard hit balls.
One of the better decisions this season by the Capitals, is to find a good third baseman that never was
that stable anymore. But he's a very good first baseman, so that's fine.
Bringing Danny Sanchez to the hot corner, and strike one to Yannick Walter, the catcher. So Maurice Wilhelm making short shrift so far in the second inning, and there's a grounder backhanded by Sanchez. High throw and just over the glove.
You know, I was just talking about that. So.
Yeah, we must, and the play at second base is close, but the ball gets away from Eric Blank, and so.
I mean, he caught it safely. I mean, quickly.
Nicely done.
But the throw was too high. So.
Yeah. I think you have to call that one E6, so even if Dan Lamhunt got his glove on it, it was high and sailing. And that brings a runner to second base on that air. And left fielder Luca Hurga will step into the batter's box. Let's see if Maurice Wilhelm deals with that small setback. Could have been a 1-2-3 inning. Now it'll have to be a 1-2, almost 3 inning. There's one fouled onto the second field. No, hit a tree. Drops down on the grass. Count 0-1. Next pitch, and there's a foul ball skied into the left field stands. So, or should say third base stands, as it didn't reach left field. Count now 0-2 to the Heideköpfe left fielder. So Luca Hurga batting an impressive .429 so far, but only 3 for 7, 3 hits and 7 at bats. Timeout called by the umpire. Not sure if he called that or if the Heideköpfe player called timeout, but timeout nevertheless. As we return to play, Maurice Wilhelm delivers. And there's a line drive right back to center field, and they're going to send that runner home. Daniel Lankhorst's throw.
Good throw, but not long enough.
So that error comes back to haunt the Capitals as Luca Hurga drives in a run with that 2-out RBI single. And the score goes to 2-1. That's just the stuff that you kick yourself, particularly if it's going to stay a one-run game, and in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, you're wondering, well, what would have been if we hadn't given up that run? And that one slapped down the right field line, foul. In the batter's box is Simon Liedtke, third baseman. Simon Liedtke batting an impressive .417 so far in this series. And there's a fly ball to Justus Leckie. Gets under that for the final out of the inning. But 1 run scores yet again. And after 1.5 innings of play, it's 2-1 for the Heidenheim Heideköpfe against the Bonn Capitals. And we're back at Bonn. And to lead off the bottom half of the second inning will be Danny Lankhorst. Danny Lankhorst batting a .133 in the playoffs so far with just 2 hits. Let's see if he can turn that around. He has managed to draw 2 walks. The center fielder of the Capitals will be facing off against Mike Bolzenbroek. Following Lankhorst will be the left fielder Justus Leckie. And last in the batting order for the Capitals is Eddie Stommel. But first, Danny Lankhorst takes strike 1. As the Heideköpfe scored an unearned run in the top half of the second inning. And that pitch slightly high for ball 1. 1-1 now the count to the leadoff hitter in this inning.
Yeah, it's always annoying, if an error comes back to you like this.
Yeah. And there's a ground ball to the shortstop, who acrobatically throws over to first base for the first out of the inning. Philip Schultz there. Throwing it over to Daniel Vivruza. And that brings up now Justus Leckie. Justus Leckie with just 2 at-bats in the playoffs so far with 1 hit. Playing in left field today for the Capitals, Bolzenbroek throws and catches the outside corner of the plate. Somebody in this booth was wondering why that was called a strike. Oh, and 1 count. Next pitch is called ball 1. Justus Leckie. A couple of warm-up swings. Pitch comes, and a pop-up right in front of home plate. Yeah, always hard for a catcher with the ball going away from you just a bit, and a catcher's mitt just isn't as easy to catch with as your fielder's mitts. But nevertheless, Yannick Valuta gathers that one in for the second out of the inning. And now, second baseman and fan favorite Eddie Stommel steps in, batting .286 in the playoffs. Has hit 2 doubles. Let's see if we can get a 2-out rally going, just like the Heideköpfe did last inning. And it's called strike 1. I think the hitter's going to have to be a little careful about the outside corner of the plate. Seems to be that Andreas Danielczyk is being generous on that side of the plate. And there's one right down the middle, though. For strike 2, Eddie Stommel finds himself in a deep hole against Bolzenbroek. The lanky right-hander. That one's high, though. And the count goes to 1-2. 1-2 pitch, 2 outs. That one's very high, and the count evens up at 2-2. Naturally, it's always good to have those starting pitchers throw a lot of pitches. You want to do that as much as possible. Get deep into the count. 2-2 pitch, curveball right back at the pitcher, who takes that one and underhands it to the first baseman Vavruza for the third out of the inning. 1-2-3. as the Capitals go down. And it's after 2 full innings of play. 2-1 for the guests from Heidenheim.
Deine Hut. Kein Vielleicht, kein Morgen, kein Gestern.
Das Talent und das Potenzial ist da.
Versuch es, wie du es noch nie versucht hast.
Hoffe ich doch, dass wir am Schluss dann in Berlin dabei sind.
Spiel für deine Geschichte und die Hut.
Die FIBA Eurobasket 2022. Live bei Magenta TV und Magenta Sport.
It hasn't been such a long time since people first started shopping online, and it was easy to keep up with the clicks. Little by little by little by more, the clicks added up to be more than the stores, and e-tailers worked harder than ever before, because they had to keep up with the clicks. All of a sudden, there are so many must-dos if you want to keep selling, like delivery there, no there, or there.
And make it tomorrow, first thing.
No time for borders. Got to stay in control, to stay in the flow and continue to grow. But we'll help you. Keep up with the clicks.
Stepping into the batter's box to start off the third inning is the top of the lineup again. This will be Philip Schultz. He grounded out to the second baseman to start the game, and he swings, and this is a big swing, as he was slightly ahead of that one on a Maurice Wilhelm changeup. Wilhelm gets ahead in the count 0-1. Next pitch, and he just plunked Philip Schultz right there. Yeah. Hit him on the thigh, it looked like, or somewhere there. He doesn't seem to have done much damage to Schultz, who will take first base on the hit by pitch. And that brings up Drew Jansen. The second baseman started the scoring in this game with a home run. And now he has a runner on the bases paths in front of him. And let's see what the Heideköpfe do as he squares to bunt. But it was high, and it's ball one. Heideköpfe are going to play small ball here from the looks of it. Not a very big lead there from Schultz. And there's a high pop up to the second baseman. Realistically, that would have been an infield fly rule, wouldn't it?
Was it infield?
He was on the grass dirt. I think you would have to call that, because if he would have dropped it, he could have thrown to second base if they didn't want Philip Schultz on the base paths anymore. That's the whole idea of the infield fly rule, is to prevent perhaps a faster runner from being taken off the base paths with a little bit of smart play. It's a chance, but nevertheless, it doesn't matter, because Eddie Stommel caught that pop-up too. Are from Drew Jansen. And Gary Owens, whoa! Who wanted to hit the ball out into the Rhine River on that one? Mr.
I mean,
Owens.
Gary is a home run hitter, but this season
Yeah.
not as strong as the seasons before.
Yeah.
But you should never say no.
Yeah.
So you better be careful as a pitcher with Gary Owens,
I mean, what did you do last? I mean, we jinxed Maurice Wilhelm in the last inning, and okay, let's go to the Gary Owens and see what's he done so far this season. I'm looking at my stat sheet. Where is my stats on Mr. Owens? Yeah, there he is, of course, at the top. 7 home runs, nevertheless, this season. Dangerous hitter at any time. Counts 1-1, and he hits a shot to the shortstop. First to second to third and to first base. Nice 5-4-3 double play there. Beautifully executed there by Danny Sanchez to Eddie Stommel, who throws up first. 2 down, and that is the top half of the second inning. No runs come across the plate for Heidenheim, And the score is 2-1 for the guests.
Das ist Mia. Mia hat zu Hause einen richtig schönen Designboden, der aber auch leider oberflächige Schäden und tiefe Kratzer aufweist. Dr. Schütz hat dafür die Lösung mit Produkten für die Reinigung und Pflege, wie das Designboden-Pflegeset und um tiefe Kratzer zu beseitigen, das Scratch Fix Repair Set. Und damit Mia genau weiß, wie man ihre Böden zu Hause perfekt pflegt und schützt, gibt es unsere Tutorials auf dem Dr. Schütz YouTube-Channel. Für Mia und euch alle. Damit muss sich Mia nicht mehr um ihre Böden sorgen, sondern kann ganz beruhigt unsere Caps anfeuern. Go Caps!
Back in Bonn at the Rhein-Auer Stadium. And the Capitals in their half of the third inning. The start of the lineup will again return to the plate. Eric Blank leading off here in the third. He grounded out to the shortstop in the first at-bat of the game for the Capitals. As there's some discussion there. Philip Schultz, who took that hit by pitch in the previous inning, is showing a little bit of gimpiness there. Would be my guess. I came from the hit by pitch as he's walking on that right foot, gingerly, right leg. He didn't show any signs when he got hit.
No.
He walked to
And he didn't
base.
show when they were warming up, so...
No, it was all of a sudden he started... Maybe it just, after the adrenaline rush dissipates, he started noticing, hey, that does hurt a little bit. And then throwing hard, digging your foot into the ground to throw may have exacerbated it. Nevertheless, he is staying in the game for the time being. Obviously, we'll be keeping an eye on that. See if that affects his play, both on the field and on offense. He still doesn't look like he's 100%. Mike Wilsenburg puts his foot on the rubber, and he'll be facing Eric Plank for the second time today, and that pitch in the dirt for ball one. That was a foul ball. Thank you. Check swing foul ball. I get word from my valuable staff. And there's a ground ball to the third baseman. He throws over to Daniel Vavusa for the first out of the inning. 5-3 if you're recording this game at home. Zeeland Liedtke fields that one cleanly, and it'll bring up Wilson Lee, who in the first inning for the Capitals stroked a home run to right center field for what was the tying run at the time. Now it's 2-1 for the Heideköpfe. That pitch is inside. Ball one. Pitcher gets the sign, delivers, and that's high and outside, ball two. Well, Bosenpook being cautious.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that he's throwing a little bit around him. So
yeah, throw a little bit inside, throw a little bit outside, see if Wilson Lee wants to swing at any of those. 2-0 count now. Will he give him something hittable? And Wilson Lee fouls that one back. Count goes to 2-1. Next pitch is...
Oh, no, come on. I mean, this was an inside pitch. You can say whatever you want, you know.
Wilson Lee pulled his stomach in, but Mike Wolzenbuch gets strike two, and the count now is 2-2 with one out. It's the bottom half of the third inning. Next pitch comes, and there's a sky-high ball, and Philip Schultz really can't run anymore. Gary Owens gets under it, and Philip Schultz immediately broke off any running after taking 3 or 4 steps onto the outfield grass. Gary Schultz runs in to catch it.
Gary Owens, yeah.
But the question really is Philip Schultz going to be playing much longer if he can?
It does not look like, to be honest. So.
Well, we'll be obviously keeping an eye on that, and naturally the Heideköpfe will. And stepping up to the plate is Danny Sanchez. The Capitals' third baseman struck out in the first inning, and he strokes a ball into left field for a single on that first pitch. A nice little line drive, gentle line drive into left field. And yet another hit for the Capitals. And stepping up to the plate is going to be John Schultz. He delivered a single in the first inning. And that was a foul tip. So Danny Sanchez will have to return. But John Schultz, not the fleetest of runners on the base paths. Danny Sanchez really isn't either. With no stolen bases this in the playoffs, obviously. And Wolzenbuch over to first. But Danny Sanchez racked up 6 stolen bases in the regular season, so a mild base stealing threat. Mike Wolzenbuch looks over to first, gets the sign. 0-1 pitch in the dirt, ball 1. Now it counts 1-1. Some wind gusting yet again, either straight out to center field or coming from the right field stands or fence over to left field. Quite gusty at times. If the batters can get their bats under the ball a little bit, the chances of it being lifted out of and beyond the fence are not bad if they connect well. A 1-1 count, and it was a big chop, big swing there by John Schultz, and the count is now 1-2. So DH wanted to single-handedly put the Capitals on top. The 2 outs here in the bottom half of the third. Runner on first base for the Capitals, throw over to first. Danny Sanchez back standing. Wolzenbuch with another look over to first, gets the sign, delivers. And there's one right back to the pitcher again, who underhands it to first baseman Vavluza, and that ends the bottom half of the third inning, and the score remains 2-1 for Heidenheim. For Heidenheim will be leading off the fourth inning. Mitch Flanke. Sorry, you have to excuse my chewing, as I took one of the fine pieces of cherry Streusel that was delivered to our commentating booth. Mitch Flanke hit into a 1-6-3 double play to end the first inning, and he's fallen behind in the count 0-2. Maurice Wilhelm delivers. That one's outside for ball 1. Next pitch. Fouled back. Count remains 1-2 to the leadoff hitter in the top half of the 4th inning, Mitch Flanke. And he's checked out on that called third strike. And Mitch Flanke having a short discussion with his teammates, like, be careful. As fellow left-handed hitter Sean Larry steps up to the plate. He flied out to lead off the 2nd inning to Capitals center fielder Danny Lankhorst, who shaded just a little bit to right field. And there's strike 1. Well, Maurice Wilhelm doing a fine job of pitching, actually. Having only given up that home run, the second run, the lead run at the moment, came on due to an unearned run because of an error. Well, the count now 1-1 to Sean Larry. 0-1 or 0-4-1 so far in this game. We have a real nice sized crowd here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have actually, like 2 weeks ago, we have seen that it's holiday season, but today they are almost all back. So
yeah, and I'd say basically the whole first half, the first base line is out to right field is filled, and even the seats on the third base line, which are traditionally reserved for visiting fans, are nicely filled. It doesn't mean there aren't Capitals fans there. Capital fans got the good seats because they're in the shade most of the time. The visitors have to. Eddie Stommel nicely knocks that one down.
Nice play by Eddie Stommel.
Grabs the ball, throws to first baseman Dan Lamhunt to get the out. Well done there, Eddie Stommel. And at the start of the season, I believe Eddie Stommel was not really expected to be the starting second baseman anymore.
That's true. I mean, it was a little shaky in terms of like how strong is he still, but he has really shown in the regular season and in the playoffs that he's the right second baseman.
Yeah. Still got enough range. He's hitting well, and Daniel Vavrusa is the next batter, and he takes already strike 1. And that's called ball 1. 2 outs. As Maurice Wilhelm seeks his second, or a 1-2-3 inning, and then that one is called ball 2. Looking for the 1-2-3 inning, and there's a ball fouled down the first baseline. Out of play. Count goes to 2-2. Maurice Wilhelm's done a fine job of pitching so far. He can't be blamed for much at all other than delivering that home run ball. Faced a minimum of 3 hitters in the 3rd inning after he started a double play, or after a double play to end it. And in the 2nd inning, it was almost a 1-2-3 inning, but that runner got on the base on an error. And there's strike 3 as he clocks out Mr. Vavrusa to end the top half of the 4th. 1-2-3, no runs, of course, and the score remains 2-1 for the Heideköpfe against the Bonn Capitals.
So we have some changes here in the Heidenheim lineup because we have seen that Philip Schultz was hurt. And so now we see Drew Jansen, who changed to the shortstop position.
From second base. Yeah.
We have some other changes. So Semi Topazzalo is in the game now, playing first base.
First baseman Daniel Wawrusa has moved over to third base. Third baseman Simon Liedke has moved over to second base. Wow.
How is that not a strike?
Yeah. Oh, more commentary from the from the booth about balls and strikes. Count 1-0 to Dan Lamb Hunt, who takes strike one. 1-1 now. Lamb Hunt leading off the bottom half of the fourth inning. That hit by pitch to Philip Schultz caused some wholesale changes within the infield. Musical chairs, you could say, more or less, for the Heidenheim Heideköpfe. Well, count now 1-2 to Dan Lamb Hunt. As Mike Bolzenbroek has settled down after surrendering a home run in the first inning. And that curveball high, as it goes, the count goes now to 2-2. Well, Dan Lamb Hunt, he singled in the first inning as the Capitals tried to get another run across the plate, but failed. Yeah, he pulls that one foul. Count remains 2-2. New shortstop as the Heideköpfe infield has shifted around, playing musical chairs, and as a new first baseman, and that first baseman is Sami Topazzalo. 2-2 pitch now to Dan Lamb Hunt. Bolzenbroek delivers, and that curveball gets Dan Lamb Hunt swinging and missing for the first out in the bottom half of the fourth inning. Rather than now, stepping to the plate is the catcher, Vinny Allens, who struck out swinging to end the first inning. And he takes a big chop at that one for strike one. Oh, 0-1 count, one out. And he skies one there behind home plate. Look out there. Hey, right in front of us. Right into the gutter.
2 weeks ago we had one in here.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was good. How did that happen? Boy, that's got to be tough to get one in here.
Oh, it came from Nick Michelli from home plate onto the roof and
Yeah,
then inside
took a little
here.
bounce,
And
huh?
now we have it signed. We got it signed by Nick Michelli.
All right. Who kept the ball?
Me, of course. No, he.
Max-
I caught it.
You caught it, and
Of
he gave it to
course.
Max. So you're a good boss, Angela. The count now 1-2 to Vinny Allens. As the Capitals are starting to have their problems connecting on Mike Bolzenbroek. A little bit of noise coming from the Capitals fans. Get things started for the home team. And that one's outside, and the count's even now at 2-2. The left-handed hitter awaits the next pitch.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
Sorry. I mean, this was so
Okay.
much outside, you know.
And Vinny Allens in disbelief there was quite uncertain. A delayed called strike to end that at-bat. This is frustrating for the hitter, and the catcher jumped up to ready to throw and thought he didn't have to throw because didn't think he was going to get the strike, and then he heard it from Andreas Danielczyk. And the next hitter is Danny Lankhorst. He grounded out to shortstop in his first at-bat, and he's already down in the count 0-1. He grounds one to the third baseman there. Nicely picked up and scooped out of the dirt there by the new first baseman, Zapatalo, to end the bottom half of the fourth inning. As the Capitals fail to get any runners on base this time around, score remains 2-1 for the Heideköpfe.
Deine Hut. Kein Vielleicht, kein Morgen, kein Gestern.
Das Talent und das Potenzial ist da.
Versuch es, wie du es noch nie versucht hast.
Hoffe ich doch, dass wir am Schluss dann in Berlin dabei sind.
Spiel für deine Geschichte und die Hut.
Die FIBA Eurobasket 2022. Live bei Magenta TV und Magenta Sport.
It hasn't been such a long time since people first started shopping online, and it was easy to keep up with the clicks. Little by little by little by more, the clicks added up to be more than the stores, and e-tailers worked harder than ever before, because they had to keep up with the clicks. All of a sudden, there are so many must-dos if you want to keep selling, like delivery there, no there, or there.
And make it tomorrow. First thing.
No time for borders. Gotta stay in control, to stay in the flow and continue to grow. But we'll help you. Keep up with the clicks.
Check this out.
It hasn't been such a long time since people first started shopping online, and it was easy to keep up with the clicks. Little by little by little by more, the clicks added up to be more than the stores, and e-tailers worked harder than ever before, because they had to keep up with the clicks. All of a sudden, there are so many must-dos if you want to keep selling, like delivery there, no there, or there.
And make it tomorrow. First thing.
No time for borders. Gotta stay in control, to stay in the flow and continue to grow. But we'll help you. Keep up with the clicks.
And we're almost halfway through this game. Heading into the fifth inning with the Heideköpfe catcher Yannick Valta stepping into the plate. And Maurice Wilhelm throws strike one. As Vinny Allens returned behind the plate, Max Schmitz let his catcher know, hey, don't make any noise, because it was Vinny Allens who went down looking on a pitch that was questionable as a strike. And Max Schmitz also used it and took advantage of that opportunity to just let the umpire know, hey, that was not a good call, in a very indirect manner. Oh, count now 1-2 to Yannick Valta. He reached base on the air in the second inning, and that is now the potentially winning run. It's the leading run. And he strokes one.
Foul.
Foul. Just foul down left field. And temperatures are probably getting a little warm now for the players.
Oh, no, come on.
It's warm up here.
They can stand like 27 degrees, so.
But it's warm up here. You can just imagine what it's like for them. And Valta hits a fly ball to second baseman Eddie Stommel, who about 15 to 20 feet on the outfield grass, catches it for the first half, first out of the inning. Which will bring up Luca Hörger, who drove in that run in the second inning. And he slaps one to right field. And no play at first base. As Wilson Lee returns the ball back into the infield. So Bukaherga 2 for 2 today. And the number 9 hitters, Simon Liedke, now playing second base after starting the game at third base. And he takes that first pitch low for ball 1. Oh, there's one out. Runner on first base for the Heideköpfe. And a runner goes. And Maurice Wilhelm with a nice play there, but because the runner was running, couldn't go to second base, and so a little bit of hit and run there saves a potential double play. And that means there are now 2 outs, though, after Maurice Wilhelm shows off his fine fielding skills. And that'll bring to the plate now the new first baseman who came in for shortstop Philip Schultz, Samuel Zapatalo. He's batting .500 in the playoffs, 4 hits and 8 at-bats, so no slouch. And another left-handed hitter for the Heideköpfe. That one's inside. Good play there by Vinny Allen to stop the ball from going to the backstop. That evens the count. 1-1. Two outs, runner on second base for the guests from Heidenheim. And there's a shot. Danny Lankhorst gets on his horse and catches it for the third out of the inning.
He wasn't sure if he should run, and he better run. So
yeah.
You better run.
Yeah. Good play there by the center fielder. Hit right at him, but fairly shallow. Heading into the bottom half of the 5th inning, the Capitals will be sending Justus Recki, Eddie Stommel, and Eric Plank to the plate. Score is 2-1 for Heidenheim. 3 runs, all 3 runs in this game were scored in the first 1.5 innings. 1 in each frame. And since then, the pitching has taken over for the most part. Justus Leckie already down in the count, 0-1. Next pitch comes, that one's in the dirt. And the count goes to 1-1. Justus Leckie in the regular season batted .192. He popped out to the catcher in the second inning.
Called a ball.
That one is called a ball. Well, a little bit of give and take here. 2-1 pitch coming to the left field of the Capitals, and that one's called strike 2. That was a little bit of give and take also. 2-2 now. And everyone seems just a little uncertain what is
true.
the call going to be, and that is not a good sign when batters simply don't know where the strike zone is. That's unfortunate. Pitcher, catcher, batter, like, what are you going to call that? Of course, pitches can be close, but you got to be consistent. And the payoff pitch, Justus Leckie with a high fly ball, but Gary Owens camps under it for out number 1 in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Got just a little bit too far under that one. Gary Owens just in front of the warning track corrals it in. And that will bring up Second baseman Eddie Stommel. He bounced back to the pitcher to end the second inning. And since then, the Capitals have only managed one hit. Yes. And now there's some cat calls coming from a lot of different places. Eddie Stommel seems unhappy about that. Pitch looked possibly low. Fouls that one now. Oh, that would have. Oh. That flew just right past us. Would have been difficult to get into our booth.
That happens only once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
We had that 2 weeks ago.
Oh, now the second baseman of the Capitals in the hole, 0-2. And he goes down swinging.
That's very rare that Eddie Stommel goes out on strikes.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, all the batters are just a little uncertain at the moment, I think, on both teams, which means they're going to be swinging at pitches that are questionable. Borderline pitches are all fine and good, but you got to have a feeling you know what it's going to be called. And if they don't know what it's going to be called, then they tend to swing. Eric Brink pulls that one down the left field line. Foul. With two down here in the bottom half of the fifth. The shortstop so far today is 0 for 2, having grounded out both times. And the count goes to 1-1. Strike two. One and two pitch comes. There's a hot shot. Just foul. That was close. Hit infield grass only to then skip to the left of the third base bag. So the count remains 1-2 to the shortstop. Waits for the pitch, and that one he slaps down the first base line.
Same thing on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So
given a fastball there, and he just got around in time to slap it foul. Well, that's a good piece of hitting just to stay alive. His count remains 1-2 as he waits for Mike Bosenbroek's next pitch. And time is called by the batter. Game has moved quite rapidly. And there's a dribbler to the second baseman, Liedke, who throws easily into first. And that ends the bottom half of the fifth inning. And after 5 full innings of baseball in game 1 of this semifinal matchup, the Heideköpfe are leading 2-1. This is Caps TV.
Das ist Mia. Mia hat zu Hause einen richtig schönen Designboden, der aber auch leider oberflächige Schäden und tiefe Kratzer aufweist. Dr. Schutz hat dafür die Lösung mit Produkten für die Reinigung und Pflege, wie das Designboden-Pflegeset und um tiefe Kratzer zu beseitigen, das Scratch Fix Repair Set. Und damit Mia genau weiß, wie man ihre Böden zu Hause perfekt pflegt und schützt, gibt es unsere Tutorials auf dem Dr. Schutz YouTube-Channel. Für Mia und euch alle. Damit muss sich Mia nicht mehr um ihre Böden sorgen, sondern kann ganz beruhigt unsere Caps anfeuern. Go Caps!
So there'll be a new pitcher to start the 6th inning for the Capitals. 5 fine innings of pitching by Maurice Wilhelm. Nothing that you can criticize. Having only surrendered one earned run in those 5 innings. And coming to the mound for the Capitals is Sascha Koch. Certainly one of the, if there's anybody you could say a true and tried and true Capital, it would be Sascha Koch. Since 2005, he's been on the club.
Yeah, and Sasha, he is still kind of recovering from his shoulder injury. I mean, not recovering, but he comes back into the game slowly. Yeah. Normally he's a starter. But this is the same move that they did last weekend against Mainz. So Maurice Wilhelm pitching 5 innings and then Sascha Koch coming on the mound.
Oh. First 2 pitches, 1 ball, 1 strike from Koch. And at the plate is the now current shortstop Drew Janssen. And that one's called ball 2. Well, Drew Janssen hit a home run in his first at-bat. That one's outside, ball 3. Some boos coming from the stands.
Yeah, I mean, this is of course what the audience sees, that you cannot rely on the calls,
There's a hot ground ball to Eric Blank. He throws out the shortstop easily as Sascha Koch records the first out of the 6th inning. And that brings up number 42, center fielder Gary Owens. He's 1 for 2 today with the single, and he ground out into a double play. Gary Owens always swinging for the fence, and all the outfielders playing deep. And that curveball is low for ball 1. That's outside. Ball 2. Sascha Koch definitely has more velocity than Maurice Wilhelm. He's still finding that strike zone, looking for it a little bit. Doesn't get the call there, and it's now 3-0 count to Gary Owens. Got 1 out here already. Let's see if Gary Owens has got the green light. Somebody of his caliber probably does, and he takes ball or strike 1. It's now a 3-1 count. Strike 2. Now the count now full. Haven't had many full counts this game now, though.
No, that's true. Then, I mean, this is also where you can see how fast the game is. You know, not many of these.
Yeah, not many long at-bats. Full count pitch. And takes a little speed off of that one. Danny Sanchez fields it and throws over to first base for the 2nd out of the inning. Well done. That ball chopped into the infield grass. Danny Sanchez quick to charge it, field it, throw to Dan Lamont, and that'll bring up number 23, the DH, Mitch Franke. Mitch Franke has hit into a double play and struck out looking 0 for 2 today. And hits have been, in general, a rarity. Left-handed DH takes strike. Kelly started. He's 1 for 2 with that home run. And he flew out to center field, and he checks swings single into right field. Nice way to start inning number 6. With the check swing single. Oh, Danny Sanchez will be stepping up to the plate. And he lays down a bunt to the pitcher, and that play was not smart. Not a good decision as Wilson Lee, speedy Wilson Lee, beats the throw to second, and so now runners are on first and second with nobody out. Bolzenbluck decided not to take the easy out, but Wilson Lee got a good jump on the bunt, and so runners are going to be on first and second on the fielder's choice by Bolzenbluck.
Although the bunt was a little too long, but Bolzenbrook took the wrong decision, obviously.
Yep.
I mean, good for the Capitals, but...
Yeah, exactly. Why we shouldn't complain? Now that leaves, now there are 2 runners on base, nobody out. And stepping to the plate will be the DH, John Schultz. Yannick Walter talking with Mike Bolzenbrook. Not quite sure what they're having such a long conversation about. Andreas Danielczyk ends that conversation. Maybe it was just a ploy to give the bullpen a little bit of time, but the bullpen of the Heideköpfe is not very deep. They've used only 4 pitchers in the playoffs so far in 3 games. And that's unlike the Capitals. The Capitals looking have used 2, 4, 6, 8 pitchers. Now they have played 1 more game in the playoffs.
I mean, of course, the Heidenheim Heideköpfe have some more pitchers, but their strongest ones were the ones that we have seen on the mound.
Yeah.
So.
And John Schultz tomahawks at that one, misses it for strike 1. Oh and 1 to the DH. Wilson Lee on second base. Danny Sanchez with a big lead on first base. And there he strokes that one into right center field. Gary Owens runs over, stops it, but that's not going to stop Wilson Lee from running home. And the score is now 2-2 on a double by John Schultz. And Danny Sanchez advances to third base. So runners now on second and third. And could these be the floodgates we've been waiting for? As they stroked 3 hits in a row against Mike Bolzenbrook. I should say a sink. 2 out of 3 hits.
Still no out, though this is a big chance here for the Capitals.
Yep. There's nobody out. Runners in scoring position on second and third base with Dan Lamhunt stepping into the batter's box, who single-handedly demolished the Mainz Athletics last weekend. And let's see if he can find that.
I mean, as long as he finds a gap, you don't have to hit. John Schultz has just proven you don't have to have the hits over the fence all the time,
And the Heideköpfe are the infielders on the grass or on the edge of the grass. They want to stop that leading run from crossing the plate. That's a big, big at-bat. And now they have decided to walk Dan Lamhunt, giving the intentional base on balls, which will bring Vinny Arlins to the plate. Vinny Arlins is stepping up. Base is now loaded as the Heideköpfe decide to pitch around Dan Lamhunt. And
a sac fly would do it.
Sac fly. The corner infield positions are on the edge of the grass. In the middle infield, they're playing at double play depth. Slightly pulled in. It's a big, big at-bat. Now the fans are into it. Nobody out. Bases loaded. Ball one. No one to put this runner either. First, second, third, bases are loaded. And that one is not given to Bolzenbrook. So, Vinny Arons gets ahead on the count, 2-0. Bolzenbrook has to give him something to hit. It's as simple as that. And that curveball is called strike one. Obviously a situation that Mike Bolzenbrook has encountered before, has faced before. Vinny Owens looking to do some serious damage here with the base hit. Goes to the fastball, and they do the out at third base, but the runs cross the plate, and there's still two runners on the base paths for the Capitals. On Vinny Owens' fielder's choice ground out to third base. Oh, that's a 6-5 fielder's choice. Runners
it was just one out, so
just one out.
I was expecting that they try at least 2 outs. So
that was that grounder was just a tad too slow. That it wasn't hit hard enough. That's going to hit over our heads. Okay. So, Danny Lankhorst at the plate. He's grounded out twice in his 2 at-bats. A hit here, but the Captain of small ball. That walk on 4 pitches. And that'll bring up Eric Blank as the 9th hitter already in this inning. Well, Eric Blank has grounded out to short, grounded out to third, grounded out to second. He takes strike one, 0 for 3 today. And what an opportune time it would be to end that drought. The 0 for 3. And that one's fielded cleanly by Max Schmitz, the third base coach. But that leaves the Capitals shortstop in the hole 0-2.
Ist richtig.
Oh, and 2 pitch, 2 outs, bases are loaded. And that one is outside, ball 1. And a hit here would add some very welcome cushion for the Capitals. They're up 2 runs now at the moment, having scored 3 runs this inning.
As you said, I mean, it's time for Eric to do something.
Yep. And that just might be a fly
No, it's
ball.
not long enough.
Not long enough, unfortunately, as the left fielder, Luka Huraga, gets under it. But not before 3 Bonn runs cross the plate as the Capitals take the lead 4-2 after 6 full innings of play. This is Caps TV.
Spiel 1 der Halbfinalserie zwischen den Heidenheim Heideköpfen und dem Bonn. Nachdem die Heideköpfe über 5,5 Innings hier geführt haben, jetzt zum ersten Mal die Führung für die Caps. Nach 6 gespielten Innings 4:2.
Deine Hut. Kein Vielleicht, kein Morgen, kein Gestern.
Niederlage gegen die Dominikanische Republik.
Das Talent und das Potenzial ist da.
Versuch es, wie du es noch nie versucht hast.
Hoffe ich doch, dass wir am Schluss dann in Berlin dabei sind.
Spiel für deine Geschichte und die Hut.
Die FIBA Eurobasket 2022. Live bei Magenta TV und Magenta Sport.
Sasha Koch returns to the mound for the Capitals in his second inning of relief appearance. And he starts off by facing the right fielder, Sean Larry. Sean Larry is 0 for 2 so far, having flied out to center field and grounded out to the second baseman. And Sasha Koch gets ahead on the count, 0-1. That's low for ball one. And looking down below at the concession stand, there's quite a long line. People getting food and drink on a very warm day.
Yeah, I mean it's full here, so.
Yeah. There's going to be some waits. Going to be a wait if you want to get your drinks and you want to get your food.
But this is what baseball is for, right?
Yeah,
I mean, in
yeah.
terms of like, come on, see a good game,
Yep.
have some burgers, some beer, some cake, some coffee, whatever.
And if you're in the Bonn area, come tomorrow, same time, same start time, 2 o'clock. If you still want to come out now, do so, then you should be close by. Game has been a quick one until that last inning. Certainly was the longest one, 9 Capital batters going to the plate. Oh, the count is 2-2 to Sean Larry. Right fielder pops that one foul. And Danny Sanchez
has it.
gets it in foul territory. Sean Larry retired. Oh, the now third baseman, Daniel Vavrusa, steps to the plate. He is 0 for 2 today. Having grounded out to the third baseman and struck out. And that curved ball is inside for ball one. Still a lot of chatter on some pitches. There's one out of play down the right field line. Well, the count goes to 1-1. Next pitch. Strike two. Right down the middle. What can the visitors from Heidenheim do after falling behind, now down 2 runs after the 3-run 6th inning by the Capitals?
I mean, they are facing good Bonn pitching.
Yep.
So let's see if they can still come through. I mean, yeah, there's always a chance that you get a hit, you know. I mean.
Mm-hmm. One's fouled back. Count will remain 2-2. There's one out. It's the top half of the 7th inning, and the Bonn Capitals scored 3 runs in the bottom half of the 6th to jump into the lead. after the first 3 runs of the game had left the Heidenheim Heideköpfe up 2-1. And that one is strike 3. I thought that was a smart play there by Vinnie Allens. He didn't hesitate. He just got the ball and threw down to first base to go around the horn. And the delayed call, strike 3.
I mean, you can say that Vinnie Allens has some experience.
Yep, and that certainly was what a wise catcher does. It makes the call for the umpire, or a split second just ahead. And so now, with 2 outs, Sascha Koch is going to face Yannick Walter, the catcher of the Heideköpfe. That curveball.
That was a nice pitch.
That was a nice pitch, but called ball 1. Sascha Koch showing a lot of variety here in terms of speed. He's got a nice fastball. And there it comes, ball 2. Yes, Sascha Koch.
And you can hear Eddie Stommel cheering him up. Hey, come on, Sascha, you are doing a good job here. Sascha not really understanding the calls, so...
The 2-0 pitch to Walter, and that's called strike 1. And the catcher fouls that one out of play. Count goes to 2-2. Well, Walter reached base on an error, and he popped up to second baseman Eddie Stommel. And he swings and strike 3. 1-2-3 inning for Sascha Koch. And after 6.5 innings of play, the Bonn Capitals lead 4-2. This is Caps TV.
It hasn't been such a long time since people first started shopping online, and it was easy to keep up with the clicks. Little by little by little by more, the clicks added up to be more than the stores, and e-tailers worked harder than ever before, because they had to keep up with the clicks. All of a sudden, there are so many must-dos if you want to keep selling, like delivery there, no there, or there.
And make it tomorrow. First thing.
No time for borders. Gotta stay in control, to stay in the flow and continue to grow. But we'll help you. Keep up with the clicks. It hasn't been such a long time since people first started shopping online, and it was easy to keep up with the clicks. Little by little by little by more, the clicks added up to be more than the stores and e-tailers.
The Heideköpfe have brought in a new pitcher, relief pitcher, is Logan Grigsby. The book on Mike Bosenbuch is closed now with that decision by Klaus Eckle. Bosenbuch pitched 6 innings, surrendering 4 earned runs with 1 walk and counting Counting the strikeouts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, according to my records. The Capitals were patient with them in that big 6th inning with 3 runs and having sent 9 batters to the plate, and stepping into the batter's box to lead off the 7th inning, or the bottom half of the 7th inning, is going to be Wilson Lee, who has scored twice today, once on a home run, and then in the last inning, he is 2 for 3. Right fielder takes a big swat at that one and out of play. Count is now 1-1. Grigsby delivers ball 2. 2-1 now. Next pitch, and there's one. That gets into right center field. Gary Owens cuts it off before it goes to the fence. And that's another single. Single for Wilson Lee, 2 innings in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that Wilson really got out of his hole. You know, in the first 4 games of the playoffs, he didn't play well.
Yeah.
You could see from his average. But today he's what we normally know from him, you know. So he has his hits, he had a home run, you know.
Yeah.
That's more Wilson Lee as we know him.
Yeah, 3 for 4. Best hitter of the day up by far. As hits were fairly rare until last inning for the Capitals. Now, at the plate is decided to try and get the lead runner on a slow chopper on a bunt with the leading run, and he Danny Sanchez waits, and he skies one into shallows left field. Luka Hurga catches that one for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up John Schultz. John Schultz drove in a run with a double at last inning, plating Wilson Lee. Wilson Lee with another healthy lead. Go to second, and Wilson Lee is safe as he steals a base. That puts a runner in scoring position for Schultz, meaning a run or a hit could get the run across. That pitch was a strike to John Schultz. John Schultz is 2 for 3 today.
Very reliable hitter. So
a single and a double. Pitch comes, curveball, pulled foul. The count goes to 0-2. One out, runner on first base for the Capitals. It's the bottom of the 7th, and in game 1 of this 5-game semifinal series, or best of 5 semifinal series. Capitals are leading 4-2. That one's low. Ball 1. Grigsby looks to second. Delivers and plunks him. Boy, that wasn't even close. Hits John Schultz on the back, on the shoulder. He seems okay. That's 2 innings in a row that a Capitals hitter has been hit.
But different pitchers.
Different pitchers. In total, 3 hitters have been hit this game, or batters, including Philip Schultz, the shortstop, or the starting shortstop of the Heideköpfe. And that ended up, resulted in him having to exit the game a half inning later. That pitch hit on the leg or the foot, and he simply couldn't put any weight on it anymore. And Dan Lamb Hunt steps in. So he drew a walk, has stroked a single, struck out. He's 1 for 2 so far. That walk was an intentional base on balls in the previous inning. Runners on first and second. The Capitals look to increase their lead. And Wilson Lee is stealing third, and he's safe as the ball pops out of the glove of the third baseman Vavluza. And both runners advance as Schultz goes on the throw. Wilson Lee has stolen 2 bases.
This is aggressive base running as we know it from the Capitals. So.
Yep. And now Dan Lamb Hunt has a chance to drive in 2 runs with a base hit. As the infielders on the corners are close to the grass as they seek to stop that run from scoring on third base. And Grigsby's pitch is outside. It's now 2-1. As they decide to continue pitching to Dan Lamb Hunt. In the on-deck circle is Vinny Arlen's. Lamb Hunt waits. That curveball inside. Ball 3. They may be cautious here.
They are cautious, of course, with Daniel Lamb Hunt.
Yeah.
So.
Three and 1 pitch. Grigsby gets the sign. One out. And that curveball is cold. Strike 2. So full count to the Capitals' first baseman now. Will Grigsby go for the K? Will he play it a little cautious, knowing that first base is open? Put a third runner on the base path, so. And that one's outside. Another ball, base on balls to Dan Lamb Hunt.
Okay, the table is set here for Vinny.
Yeah. Let's see if he can clear it.
Maybe not that, but if he hits one anywhere, so.
Okay, take off a little bit of the cutlery, huh?
Of course, we remember his Grand Slam walk-off home run at the Champions Cup.
Yeah.
Against Ostrava, so. But you can't hit that all day long, so.
Yeah. One out. Logan Grigsby in a hole here. And that pitch, first one, is high and tight for ball 1. There was nowhere to put the runner or nowhere to put the hitter. 1-0. Vinny Arlen's today has struck out twice. Grounded into a field choice, and there he strokes one down the right field line. That's going all the way to the fence. And the merry-go-round is hot and running. And 2 runs cross the plate on that double by Vinny Arens. And
as I said, it does not need to be always a home run. You know, if you have hits like that, you always score 2 runs, you know.
And now the damage is being done. 6-2. We're in the 7th inning, and there's only one out. Runners now on second and third base. Vinny Arons with 2 RBIs, and Klaus Eckler talking with the umpire. Danny Lankhorst, he's 0 for 3 today. Could do more damage with a hit. And they've got Logan Grigsby where they want him. He simply has not delivered the goods like Klaus Eckler had expected him to. Capitals got to Mike Bolzenbrook last inning. And if their starter can't go 8-9 innings, it does make it more difficult for the Heideköpfe. Hot bats at the moment for the Capitals. Danny Lankhorst. And that one gets away from the catcher, but just down the third base line. Dan Lamb Hunt can't go anywhere. Now count already 2-0. Danny Lankhorst's bat going back and forth, chomping at the bits. Oh, and a big swing there. 2-1. Logan Grigsby taking his time. That one's outside. So ball 3. Six to 2 now the score. A further 2 runs have crossed the plate this inning for the Capitals, the 7th. And Danny Lankhorst takes a walk. Now runners on first, second, and third base. Bases are loaded. Justus Leckie.
Here comes Klaus Eckler.
Klaus Eckler going to talk to the umpire, and that looks like another pitching change in store here.
Position player, maybe.
Oh. Looking to actually to the first base side, and not quite sure if Logan Grigsby will stay in this game or if he's going to be pulled. Doesn't look like there's any movement or any signs of movement coming from the Heidenheim bullpen. Don't see anybody running in from
I
left
would be
field.
wondering who would come. I mean, the only one they have used so far is Luca Höger, who's playing left field, I think.
Okay, yeah, Luca Höger is in left field.
But Logan Grigsby remains.
Yeah, Grigsby does remain in the game. Luca Höger has pitched 3 innings in the playoffs so far, so wouldn't be unrealistic to call on his services. But with the bases loaded, Klaus Eckler has decided he'll stick with Logan Grigsby. And he's giving some directions to his fielders what they should do. At the moment, the first and third basemen are drawn in, are on the grass or near the grass, while the middle infielders are slightly in, but playing double play depth more or less. 0-1 to count to Justus Leckie. And he pops one up. And the first baseman, he makes the play there. Whoa, that was close there by Sopatolo. But they retire Justus Leckie.
Of course, that's not the thing that you want, you
No.
know.
No, not with one out.
Even if it would be a sac fly, that's fine, you know, but not something like that.
No. It's up to Eddie Stommel to drive in a few more runs.
Or to do what he has done last inning, he just walks.
Well, yeah. Walk is as good as a hit. the old adage. That would even be an RBI walk. But let's not hope we don't want him to get a walk. We want him to get a hit. Come on, Eddie. 2 outs. First pitch is called. Strike 1. And that's also called a strike. Now, Grigsby ahead on the count, 0-2 to the Capitals' second baseman. Time called. That one's low, and the count goes to 1-2. Well, the Capitals with a chance to really drive that final nail in the coffin. Currently has a 4-run lead after scoring 5 runs in the last 1 2/3 innings. And there's a squibber to the second baseman who throws over to first to end the 7th inning, but not before the Capitals score another 2 runs. And the lead is now 4 total. It's 6-2. This is Caps TV.
Das ist Mia. Mia hat zu Hause einen richtig schönen Designboden, der aber auch leider oberflächige Schäden und tiefe Kratzer aufweist. Dr. Schutz hat dafür die Lösung mit Produkten für die Reinigung und Pflege, wie das Designboden-Pflegeset und um tiefe Kratzer zu beseitigen, das Scratch Fix Repair Set. Und damit Mia genau weiß, wie man ihre Böden zu Hause perfekt pflegt und schützt, gibt es unsere Tutorials auf dem Dr. Schutz YouTube-Channel. Für Mia und euch alle. Damit muss sich Mia nicht mehr um ihre Böden sorgen, sondern kann ganz beruhigt unsere Caps anfeuern. Go Caps! Das ist Mia.
Die Idealen Bongas, Robinson und natürlich danke auch der Stadt Bonn für die Unterstützung des Bonner Base- und Softballsports.
As we move into the 8th inning, there's only 6 outs remaining for the Heideköpfe to turn this game around. Of course, if they were to manage to draw even, pull even, then they would have more than 6 outs. But they have 6 outs to turn it around, and to lead off the 8th inning is left fielder Luca Hörger. Luca Hörger having success today. He's 2 for 2 with 2 singles. And with an RBI to his credit, he's in the hole against Sasha Koch, who is entering his 3rd inning of pitching. 0-2 is now the count. Curveball. Eric Blank collects it, and he's called safe. That was a bang play more than I thought. I thought personally he was out. But
I thought he was out, but it took Eric Brank a little too long
Yeah.
to pick up the ball.
yeah,
So
it was a high chopper to him, and so that's going to be an infield single for Luca Hurga, who is now 3 for 3. Which brings up the second baseman, Simon Litka. And he strokes one into center field for a hit. Oh, 2 hits in a row to start the 8th inning. So runners are on first and second for Heidenheim. And stepping to the plate is the first baseman, Samuel Sopatolo, in his first plate appearance, according to my records, I believe it is. No, he did fly out to, he flew out to center field in his first at-bat. He came in when Philip Schultz exited the game with a foot or leg injury. And he moved Sopatolo over to the first base position, setting off a carousel of position changes in the infield. At the moment, not important. Possibly, though, if Philip Schultz can't play anymore, it'll be important. As Sasha Koch gets ahead on the count, 0-1. But if Schultz were no longer able to play, that would be a big blow. And there, that one is
foul.
Should have been.
Foul
Okay,
ball.
it was called foul. Yeah, the first base umpire didn't call, and he looked at the home plate umpire, and it was called foul. So the runners will return to their bases.
The
and
runners have to return to the
yeah,
bases.
I don't know what they're waiting for, and I don't know why they needed Klaus Eckler to tell them to return to their bases. But when you're down 4 runs, you want to try and do anything you can to get a leg up. And the count is 0-2 to the first baseman. Sasha Koch. Ooh, and the people behind home plate are like, ah!
There is a fence in between.
Of course, but still, it's got to scare the dickens out of you. Whoa.
But this is the reason why you should not put your fingers through the fence.
No. Now 0-2 pitch again. And another foul ball. And another 0-2 pitch from Sasha Koch to Samuel Zapatalo. Runners on first and second. The on-deck hitter is actually the tying run, and a nice curveball to retire Zapatalo. He goes down swinging, and it'll bring up Drew Janssen, who hit a home run to start the scoring in the game. And
Max
Schmitz has
so this is the game for Sasha.
entered or come from the dugout.
Good
Sasha
pitching.
Koch with 2 1/3 inning of pitching, no runs given up. So big round of applause to Koch.
And Paul Schmitz coming up.
The old veteran, and Paul Schmitz, the brother of Max Schmitz, will be entering the game. He'll be warming up, and in the meantime, we'll take a short timeout. This is Caps TV. Entering the game with 2 runners on base, runners on first and second for the Heideköpfe. He starts off by facing Drew Janssen, and both runners advance, stealing base as Vinny Islands decides not to throw. Don't know if you would call that defensive indifference. The game isn't that out of hand where you could just say, oh, doesn't really matter. 2 runs, and the on-deck batter, again, is the tying run. So we'll give them stolen bases. And there's a chopper to the first baseman. A run will come across the plate, but an important out, the second out of the inning, as Drew Janssen is retired on that squib hit to the first baseman. So now, a run scores. Gary Owens at the plate. And Gary Owens has yet to get a hit today. No, sorry, he's 1 for 3. He does have a hit first inning. Paul Schmitz delivers the first strike to Owens. And he gets strike 2 in a hurry. Gary Owens in the hole. But Paul Schmitz has faced 10 batters and has 8 strikeouts to his credit.
He was pitching last weekend in Mainz in the second game, and it was really great, his pitching. So.
And there's another high chopper, but this time Gary Owens not as speedy, and Eric Blank throws him out for the final out with 1 run crossing the plate, and the score after 7.5 innings is 6-3. This is Caps TV.
Second baseman geht auf den Markt.
Heading into the bottom half of the 8th inning, the Capitals will be sending Eric Brink to start off, and the Heideköpfe Maurice Montgomery will be playing at second base for what potentially could be the final inning of offense for the Capitals. Nevertheless, the score is just 6-3, so some insurance runs would be. It's a strike. Well, 1-1 is the count to Eric Blank.
Who owes us a hit?
A hit. He's 0 for 4 today, and he's fallen behind in the count 1-2. And he has his hit. Oh, he's now 1 for 5. Send him. Wilson Lee is stepping up. They sent him twice last inning.
I think Eric Brang has about 13 or 14 stolen bases in the regular season. So
well, let's take a look at that. Eric Brang stolen bases has 11. And Wilson Lee sends one to the left field warning track. Not too far away from a home run, but not far enough. Oh, one down, the runner on first base. Danny Sanchez steps up to the plate. He's 1 for 4 today. And that pitch is in the dirt for ball 1. And Sanchez strokes one to right field, and Gary Owens can't get to it. The diving center fielder.
That's a run for Eric Brank.
And there's a run. Eric Brank is going to reach home, and he's going to make it home. And that's going to be a double for Danny Sanchez, as that ball was tailing away, and I really had the feeling Gary Owens wanted to go for it, but I knew pretty much 99% he wasn't going to get that. That ball was tailing away too much. And so the run they gave up last inning, they get back on a double by Danny Sanchez, who is 2 for 5 today.
And the speedy Eric Brank, of course, can run from first base home to home. So.
And once that ball was on the ground, it went to the fence, and there was no doubt about Eric Brank making it home. Oh, now John Schultz steps up. He's 2 for 3 today. Having reached base 3 times, he was hit by a pitch also, has a single and a double. Score is 7-3. And Wilson, and John Schultz, sorry. That one lines out to Gary Owens for the second out of the inning. Oh, Gary Owens going left, going right. Dan Lamb Hunt will step up to the plate. Had a relatively quiet day, mainly because he's walked twice. Does have a single.
So he wants this hit. Let's see.
Oh, 1 to Lamb Hunt. Leithka delivers. This time goes overhand. And draws strike 2 as Lamb Hunt swings and misses. Curveball, and Lamb Hunt gets a hold of that one, but Gary Owens gets under it to end the inning.
A lot of work for Gary Owens this inning. So.
Yep, had a lot of running to do. Oh, after 8 full innings, the Capitals, they get a run in the bottom half of the 8th, and it is now 7-3. The Heideköpfe have their last chance in the top half of the 9th. This is Caps TV.
Neues Spiel bei den Bonn Capitals für Paul Schmitz mit der Rücknummer 66. Domidas. Hier wird rausgekratzt.
And to finish off the game, or potentially for the Capitals, they brought in their closer, Dovydas Neverauskas, the Lithuanian, has assumed the closing duties this season. Had 2 saves in the regular season, none in the playoffs, as there, I believe, were no save opportunities in the playoff games. And this would not be a save opportunity officially, as they have a 4-run lead.
That's it, because he was the closer in the last 2 games as well, but we had the lead already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so, with a 7-3 lead, it's up to Dovydas here to finish off the Heideköpfe, and leading off is strike 3. That was Konstantin Hall, who was batting for Mitch Flanke.
That was Vinny again.
Yeah. And so stepping up to the plate, it'll be Sean Larry. 3 strikeouts, or 3 strikes. Well, 1 out. 2 outs to go, and the Capitals will have bagged game 1 of the best-of-5 playoff series. Sean Larry facing now. Neverauskas takes strike 1. Oh and 1, 1 out. And there's a shot down the first base line. That was a hot one there, and it's going to be a long single, you could say, as Wilson Lee throws it back from the corner. But Sean Larry recognized it's not really important for him at the moment to be on second base. He is not the lead or the tying run. But that's a single, which will bring up the first baseman, Daniel Vavruza. A runner on first base as the Heideköpfe doing what they can to extend this game. And there's a throw to first base after strike 1 to Daniel Vavruza, who's currently playing third base. Well, the tall Lithuanian gets the sign. Stretch and pitch, and and there's a single to right field. Oh, after getting the first hitter to strike out, there are now 2 singles in a row against the Capitals' relief pitcher and their closer. Oh, Vavruza on. Sean Larry before that got on. 2 singles in a row, and now stepping to the plate is the catcher, Yannick Walter. So in the playoffs so far, Neverauskas, looking at the stats, given up 2 hits and 3 walks in 3 1/3 innings pitched.
Okay, I'd say this is it with the hits, hopefully.
Yeah. Double play would be a nice way to end this game. 4-run lead, still comfortable. But one more time, the tying run is on the on-deck circle. Neverauskas delivers strike 1. And there's a high fly ball to left field. Ilsa Selecki gets under it, shades his eyes, and that's the second out of the inning. 1 out away from capturing game 1. And that brings up Luca Herga. Luca Herga is 3 for 3 today, 3 singles. He's been feeding off the Bonn pitching in game 1. Not that time. With a big swing and a miss. Dovydas Neverauskas ahead on the count, looking to close this game out. Curveball fouled out of play.
You can see, I mean, they cannot hit his fastballs, but all his other pitchers, they are going to it. So.
Yeah. Why not just go with the high heat? 0-2, see if he bites on it. He does have Major League Baseball experience, so let's see if he dips into his power. He throws a curveball. That one's to Eric Blank, who tosses it to Eddie Stoll at second, and that is the 3rd out in the 9th inning. And the Bonn Capitals win game 1 of the semifinal series against the Heidenheim Heideköpfe 7-3 after being behind 2-1 for a large part of the game. Oh, a great start for the Capitals.
Yeah, actually, they have done what they wanted to do. Be yourself. This is what Max Schmidt said to them before the game. And after a slow start, I'd say, you know, beside the home run, they have shown their offensive power. So, yeah. And they have beaten Mike Rosenbrook.
Yeah, it's always it's good to beat their best pitcher. The Capitals went with not their first starter to start the series, but Maurice Wilhelm did an excellent job, and the relievers behind him also. So there's nothing to complain about for the Capitals. It puts more pressure, of course, on Heidenheim to try and come away with a split tomorrow.
Yeah, we will see, because the Capitals will face Jared Mortensen tomorrow, and they don't know him because he's new this season in Heidenheim.
Yeah.
So as a pitcher, so let's see how they go to him. So good start for the Capitals.
Yes.
Win the first home game, and we have another game tomorrow at 2:00. So
come to the park. It's such an excellent venue in Germany. There really is nothing like it. Wonderful seating, wonderful atmosphere. This field is immaculate, considering how little rain we've been getting. It's green, it's lush, and so
there's something to eat and to drink, and it's fun to be out here. And of course, you can watch our live stream, but it's even more fun to be live at the stadium. So see you tomorrow then.
Angela, thanks a lot.
You. Thank you, John Klimpers, Angela Beckman, Max Paulus, and Tom Paulus at our camera. And till tomorrow.
Join us tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.